Welcome to Ashley On, your one-stop podcast where we talk about health and wellness, spirituality, and all things new. Stick around as we delve deep into innovations to support a better world.
Hello and welcome to the show. Today we welcome Siobhan Maguire back to the show. Always good to catch up with Siobhan. We're talking about the opportunity to restore a better balance to our society in terms of the masculine and feminine balance and what that means in terms of finding the kingdom of God within. We talk about the fall of the goddess rule at the time of Atlantis. We talk about the twin flame between the desire to and the quest to unite the male and female. And we talk about healing the Adam and Eve within. By shedding the vices and bringing in the virtues. It's a really great show. I hope you enjoy it. And like I said, Siobhan Maguire is always great to have on the program. Her voice is very calming, and her perspectives are quite valuable to us all. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoy the show. Today's show is brought to you by Morrison Alley. Morrison Alley focuses on leadership and team development through experiential learning. Experiential learning is proven to be a much better way for people to learn. People have enhanced communication and trust. They have better engagement in their job and satisfaction with their job. They make faster decisions as a team. It really improves communication and morale, and ultimately just leads to superior learning outcomes. So it's really focused around igniting the potential of your leaders, helping them overcome challenges and drive lasting team change. MorrisonAlley.com is where you should check this out. We also provide marketing and strategy work for businesses to help grow, implement new technologies such as AI to help streamline the business and improve efficiencies. Check it out, MorrisonAlley.com. Hello, Siobhan. Welcome to the show. Welcome back. So great to see you.
Hi, Ashley. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me back again. You haven't had enough of me at this stage. It's my third time in front of you now. So I really appreciate you invite me back here again. It's great.
Well, I really enjoy talking to you, and you're becoming a regular. So this is fantastic. I just appreciate you taking all the time that you do for me and for the show, our listeners, because I know that I could just tell by the number of views that we're getting with your episodes, you're resonating with my audience. So I really appreciate you in every episode you come on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share whatever wisdom and guidance that I channel. Spirit channels lots of information through me, and I'm just happy to have, a platform through your podcast really to share that. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And again, and today, you'd shared with me, you wanted to talk about the need to restore the masculine and feminine balance in ourselves and in our society and our world. So I'm excited about that. I just did a episode recently with Margaret Starbird, and we talked about Mary Magdalene, and it's a very similar type of topic and conversation, and the fact that the feminine has really been stripped from our world and our society. And so when you reached out with that as a suggested topic, it kind of hit, because it's completely it's synchronicity with what I just talked to Margaret about. And so there must be something in our world that we need to explore on this topic more. So thank you for suggesting that. And I'm just going to give you the floor now to kind of open up that conversation.
Well, I mean, you have to look at it on a soul purpose level. The biggest soul purpose we have coming into this lifetime, or let's say the biggest opportunity as souls that we've been given this last lifetime, is to become ascended masters. So what do we mean by an ascended master? Ascended master is a soul who has mastered all energies, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And irrespective of what is happening in our environments around us, we're able to hold our light, hold our frequency at a high level. So that is what's being offered to us in this lifetime. And let's look, Jesus Christ is an ascended master. So we are being given the opportunity in the human vessel now, in this lifetime, to be like Jesus. And he came in as that great teacher to teach us to walk his path, to walk on the same pathway as he did, to become an ascended master, to go through what is called an ascension process. So part of that ascension process is us, first of all, recognizing not just the male aspect of God, but the female aspect of God as well. So the male, the father God being the Alpha, the feminine God being the Omega. And in the early, the Gnostic Christian teachings, they very much, they use the name Christos Sophia, really representing both the masculine and feminine aspects of God. The Christos, both as the Logos, the Word of God, and then, the wisdom was really that Sophia, that feminine aspect, that feminine wisdom. And it's, recently, and I've talked to you about this before on your channel, Jesus said those words, it was so powerful about our return to Eden. The feminine is the lock, the masculine is the key, and together we will open up the gates to the Garden of Eden again, as in we will allow heaven to be on earth again. And as we all know, we can create our heaven or we can create our hell on earth. It really is a choice. And that is the biggest challenge at the moment. People not wanting to take responsibility for their own lives and where they are in their soul's evolution and their own shadow selves. So we're being offered an opportunity at this moment in time to go in, have a look at our lives, do the shadow work, what aspects of us that need to be healed, and then accept the light of who we are, the truth of who we are as divine beings of light, as Christed children of God. Our Christed child is within our hearts. And this is the biggest gift. The kingdom of God is actually within our own hearts. And as I've said before as well to you, Ashley, our greatest gift to this world is our heart love, our heart light. And it is our greatest protection as well. So it is all within. And all the time we spent most of our lifetime looking outside ourselves to fill ourselves up as an empty vessel, thinking that we need to consume that which is around us, rather than going within and realizing everything we need is already within ourselves. We come in as that divine masculine, divine feminine Christ. That blueprint is already in our heart, in the divine spark within our heart. And it is up to us to find it again. And it's buried and buried and buried through layers and lifetimes of wounding. And anyone who believes, I guess you have to believe this and understand this, you do need to believe in the concept of reincarnation, because we have all spent numerous lifetimes in both a male bodysuit and a female bodysuit. So the imbalance that we see on the planet at the minute between the male and female is not the blame of those in a male bodysuit in this lifetime or those in a female bodysuit. We are all equally responsible, because all of us are part of having created this imbalance that has happened in the first place. And I don't know if the last lady you spoke to, shared, this all really goes back to the fall of the goddess temples way, way back in Atlantis 10,000 years ago. And when the decision was made for the patriarchal control to control the planet, to control humanity, to control society. So the men were to rule and the women were to step back, step down, and take very much more a subservient role in society. And let's face it, that hasn't worked out very well for us all, because the world at the minute is, there's so much war, there's so much separation, there's so much pain and suffering on the planet. And I mean, Jesus has recently said to me, it's very much, we have created the situation specifically very much, I think, from this year, 2025. There is no gray area anymore. You're either going to choose the path of the light or the path of the shadow aspect. We're going to make it so easy and so clear for you to make the wise choice. So a lot of people, even in the, let's say, the spiritual community or the light working community, a lot of times we would step from one side and we would, choose sometimes back, forth. But he said there's no more time for that. There's such an acceleration of energies on the planet at the minute that the light, this planet is ascending, humanity as a collective is ascending. Whether you choose to ascend with the collective or not is completely a choice that your soul is making at this moment in time. And in order to, let's say, as he says to me, return home whole, you must bring the masculine and the feminine that is within you back into sacred union within yourself. And I would say most of your listeners are familiar with the term twin flame, the twin flame phenomenon. And the twin flame phenomenon, so what is a twin flame? A twin flame is just where a very highly ascended soul has decided to split into two aspects of themselves, the male and the female. And a number of those very highly evolved souls have decided to incarnate, some into female bodies, some into male bodies. And their whole modem through operation of coming together, they are going to find each other on this planet. They will have this massive soul urge, massive soul drive to be magnetically pulled back together in the physical and create that physical sacred union together. Now, in the spiritual community, there's so much on social media and on YouTube all about this, about finding your twin flame soul. And it has been very highly sexualized in not such a nice way. And back in the early days, the golden era of Atlantis, the whole idea of sexuality, it was very much about a merging of energy fields, a merging of auras, a merging of chakras, energy wheels, rather than what we would say today as sealing the sexual act, the orgasm, the very much short, spontaneous moment time that you had, let's say your closest, touch into what it feels like to be godlike. So we have sort of lowered the vibration of sexuality within humanity because we've connected it purely with that physical act rather than a sexual union of the whole chakra column coming together, mind, body, and spirit. So it's a union of the whole rather than humans thinking of that secret union being just a sexual union. So let's see, if we look at the physical experience that we have, the two biggest challenges that we have as humans is number one, navigating human emotions. That's our challenge. It really is. And also navigating sexuality. Because it is the one aspect of us that, we can choose great light or we can choose very great darkness. There's such a polarity in between, the same in the human emotions. We can choose poles apart there. So that is the tests, the initiations, and the challenges that when you come into a human vessel that you're going to face. And the end result is you want to master those emotions. You want to master the sexuality, which is the male and female aspects of yourself coming into balance, harmony, and then ultimately back home into sacred union together, within. And when you can balance them within your own self, then that means that you are potentially a magnetic match to a secret divine partner in another bodysuit, let's say, But one thing which a lot of people don't understand as well is not every soul that's incarnated on this earth has decided to be in a twin flame dynamic. A lot of us have decided to come down and be meet various soulmates. And we can have a beautiful, sacred love partnership with those soulmates and experience everything our soul needed to experience on this journey. Because a lot of times our twin flame chose to stay on the other side, to be able to guide us from the other side. So that doesn't mean that we're any lesser souls than those who decided to come in together at a similar time to be able to come back together as that physical union in physical bodies. There's no hierarchy as such, but just those souls that have chose to come into sacred union as twin flames in a physical vessels together. Boy, oh boy, are they very challenging relationships, because they've chosen to come together to be master teachers for humanity. And they will go through very, very, very powerful initiations and tests. So extremely challenging lives those souls will go through. I mean, the ultimate twin flames that we're aware of is Jesus and Mary Magdalene themselves. They were twin flame souls. You know, Jesus was the masculine Christ and Mary Magdalene was the feminine Christ. So together they came together in sacred union, and they came together and they activated the 7 chakras of each other together back into sacred union. So there's a lot of misunderstanding out there within the spiritual community as well about, you know, people thinking that their twin flame is just going to be magnetically attracted to them. The reality is this is a process, and it's a process, it's a work in progress, as in it's a labor of love. You have to work through this. You have to work through your masculine wounding, your feminine wounding of all the lifetimes you've ever lived, because every single one of us is carrying the wounds of the masculine and the wounds of the feminine. And I was actually shown this really, really right in front of my eyes. I was down on the beach. It was last September, and I was doing some breath work, and I usually always go to the beach in the morning just to really connect and ground in the spirit and to meditate. And I immediately was shown a vision of several lifetimes of me just coming towards it, just let's say versions of me walking towards me, but they were wounded aspects of me as lifetimes of me in a male body. And it was incredible. It was just walking towards me as if they were walking back home into me. And then after about, I would say about 15, 20 minutes, then all the female wounded aspects of me started walking towards me as well. And as each one of them was stepping back into me, I was feeling all the pain and the suffering that soul had gone through, all the wounding that was still, let's say, unfinished business. And it was very powerful and very emotional as that was happening. And at the end of that, I was able to bring those aspects of me back into a union within my heart. Now, I've been through several initiations with Jesus and Mary Magdalene because I channeled the essence of both those souls, and they have stepped into me several times and come into sacred union within my physical body. And, you know, I run a workshop on that, the secret divine masculine, divine feminine, Christ stepping back into secret union within you. But this was a whole different level. This was allowing me to really go so much deeper into the shadow aspects of myself, the unfinished business, the unfinished karma that I hadn't completed. So they want me to be a teacher. So what they're communicating, I'm just a messenger. The message is not me. I'm just a conduit of that message. The message is for humanity, you know, as a whole. So basically, they guided me then to create what is called, they told me, we want you to create a master series called Healing the Adam and Eve Within, you know, so the healing the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine within. So allowing them to come back into sacred union with themselves as healed and whole vessels, you know, because you can't ascend in this lifetime until you've healed all shadow aspects of yourself. So it was a very powerful journey that they took me through. Not only did they take me through a journey, now this happened from last September, and I've just completed it actually with a group of souls just last weekend. So that was like a 6-7 month journey they took me through, of feeding me various downloads, because you cannot absorb all of this at one go. So they'll come through in piecemeal downloads. And basically, I literally was then able to put it together as a collective grouping of 5 different lessons that they took me through, to then be able to share with other souls in order for them to go through the process themselves. But it's so powerful because when we look at what is going on in the world around us, when we look at the female, there's so many wounded aspects of the female out there. And one of the bigger challenges that, the souls that went on this journey with me was the female aspects, the wounded aspects of ourselves, was being the victim, playing the victim, and the male being seen as the perpetrator of an abuse. So the male being the abuser, the female being the victim, and then another aspect of the feminine would be very much being the pleaser, having to please all, having to please everyone around. So never, stepping back from love of oneself, rather than having to please everyone around them, rather than actually understanding you must please yourself and become whole within in order to be able to share the highest aspect of yourself with others. So there was just all these little nuggets of wisdom, not just as a process of going through, I would say, initiations and remembrances, that we were able to really heal some very deep locked aspect of ourselves that we didn't even know that was inside us. And really, really powerful insights. So when Jesus and Mary Magdalene downloaded, the wounds of the feminine, the wounds of the masculine, they also told me we need to look at healing the vices. So shedding the vices and integrating the virtues back home into ourselves. So just healing the lower aspects of ourselves. So for want of a better word, a lot of people would, I guess, understand, in the Catholic Church, we would have been called the 7 deadly sins. It's much gentler aspect, I would think, wording to call it the 7 vices, and then the 7 aspects. So the higher parts of ourselves we want to reintegrate and welcome back home into our hearts. So it's very much, it's all about going into the heart. And at the end of it, you open up your sacred heart. And once we bring the vices, back into a state of healing, and there's so many aspects of these vices you go through, and they give me such a clever visual to be able to take people through a process again and again and again. And this is something that people are not going to do in a day or a week or a month. This will be a process, and you can put it this way, it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. You may peel all 5 lessons back once. 3 months later, you might go back again and go, I'm going to go in and see what is next ready to come up, and go in and do it again. This is like a tool you can have forever. It's just there. It's a series of meditations and video teachings, and it's so powerful. And they ended it so beautifully by bringing forth your inner child. So having a look at your Christed child within and the wounded inner child within. So that scared part of you, inside of you, that's hiding inside. And most of us don't know we've even got this aspect of ourselves. And it's usually hiding in one of our organs or our multiple organs. And it's about finding them so easily, and then bringing the Christed child and allowing both of them to hold hands and merge together as one and walk home together as one, healed and whole. So it's so beautiful, and it's just allowing you to see, to be honest, actually the beauty that's actually within ourselves, because we've especially those brought up in the church, we can flail ourselves with these big sticks about wrongdoings, that mistakes we've made in the past. And as Jesus said to me before, you came here to make mistakes, you came here to learn, to grow, to evolve. But you're evolving upwards. The main thing is is that you keep on putting one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward on the ascension process. And there's 33 steps on that journey, you know, and most of us in the spiritual journey are very, very high up there. We're much higher than we even would like to acknowledge ourselves, you know, but we've allowed at this moment in time, and I don't know, Ashley, if you agree with me this, but I feel it from a lot of my clients as well. 2025, a number of people in the spiritual community, even as well, have stepped back a little bit into fear. Mother Mary, stepped in a couple of weeks ago, and she said to me, only a third of the light workers on the planet at this moment are operating at the level they need to be at this moment in time. Not enough of the light workers are stepping up to the next level. So let's see it as you're cycling a bicycle along and you want to change up gear. You know, you want to move up to the next level. They're deciding just to stay put or even go down a little bit. Because, you know, it's that old fear, you know, it's that old patriarchal fear program or matriarchal fear program stepping back in, and they're going to go that fear of my security, safety, and survival. How much are my stocks and shares worth? How much is my property worth? So they're going into survival mode of the here and now, rather than looking at the bigger picture of where is my soul on its journey of evolution in this lifetime, because that is the important thing that we're supposed to be focusing on now, rather than getting fixated by the illusion of fear that is around us. And that illusion of fear is like a roller coaster. Even in the stock markets, it goes up and down, that ebb and flow, keeping you as if you're walking on eggshells all the time. And it's going to keep you in a state of fear. If you lock yourself into seeing your life as being positive or negative by following the stock market, you know, you're not going to enjoy every day. You're here to enjoy every single day. So what's going to happen in the greater world out there, you personally don't have control of. But what you do have control of is how every day you're waking up and showing up in the world for your own self, looking after your own self, your own thoughts, how you are with your partner, your husband, your wife, your kids, your work colleagues, your neighbors.
So let's explore that a little bit more.
Yeah.
What practical advice would you offer our listeners who you're resonating with, but let's say that maybe they're struggling with that, and they're struggling with, how do I get beyond that fear, and how can I go inward more? Like what to resolve that fear? What practical steps can you suggest that people can act on to, maybe move more toward that light?
Yeah, I mean, I had a Spirit are really clever. A lot of times they'll bring symbols to us, and a symbol I've had for the last couple of weeks, and I would have been quite aware of it a number of years ago. I've actually had a sparrow hawk. Every time I go out of the house the last couple of weeks, it like follows me. It's even in the car, above my car several times. It's like, Siobhan, you need to rise up and see the bigger picture all the time, rather than being consumed with the street level of just the here and now and what's on the news this evening. You've got to step back from that and go, I've been looked after thus far. I've got to trust I am going to be looked after, because otherwise you can't say you have a faith. You know, to have faith means you know that everything you need tomorrow is going to be there and available for you tomorrow. And you need to bring yourself back inside your own self and just allow this to stop. It's that this is one of the biggest things that the group that I was working with challenged. When we went in and looked at the wounding of the male energy, one of the biggest symptoms when I was taking the group through the healing the wounds of the masculine was severe headaches, because the male aspect of us, whether you're in a male or physical body, can't switch this off, or heads off. It was incessant. So everybody was struggling with it, just as if we had some sort of a metal clamp on our heads, or skull cap. So it was allowing people just, and I've got one on YouTube, it's on my website. I've got a morning meditation. When you wake up in the morning, you drop immediately from your head down into your heart, and you hand the reins over to your heart for the day. I'm going to feel my way through the day rather than think my way through my day. So be in the moment. You've got to be in the moment for your day rather than seeing what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen next week, because none of us know what's coming tomorrow. You've got to embrace and enjoy every moment of every day in the here and now, because otherwise you're going to drive yourself crazy, And it's the whole thing about, we need to lose our heads. Yeah, we need to lose this and drop completely into the heart. And that is where the kingdom of God resides. Peace on earth is in the heart. The peace is inside the white. There's a secret white rose, etherically, energetically in our heart, and it's purity and peace. It's the pure divine innocent of the Christ, the child within. And that little child is in a state of complete peace and harmony. It doesn't worry about anything because it knows its parents are going to provide everything it needs whenever it needs it. So it's in the moment. So when you think of a little child, on a swinging on a huge oak tree, back and forth, and their feet are up, they're lying back, and the legs are just up and down, and they're just feeling the wind, and they're feeling free. That's your Christ, a child within. They don't have a care in the world. They're in that moment. And it is as simple as that.
So it comes back to faith. It's faith.
It does, absolutely. It's what I would say when I went through this process and, I guess my own personal journey, I have such a deep sense of knowing. Now, that knowing's not in my head. That knowing is a feeling. That knowing, it's the brain inside my heart. It's the eyes within my heart that sees and knows that everything I need is going to be provided for me. So the answer is in the heart. The head will drive you crazy. And also, Ashley, the light codes coming in at the minute, when you look at 2025, and over the last month as well, we've had lunar eclipses, we've had the spring equinox, followed immediately by a solar eclipse. And then we have the build-up this whole week for Easter week. And I was promised by Jesus, this Easter is going to be monumental light codes coming in. If you're carrying a large amount if you're in your head, so you're holding on to a lot of fear, it is gonna make you feel very heavy and dense. And when you have all that light coming in, it is gonna make you feel extremely uncomfortable in your physical body. So it's like the word has to be surrender. You have to be in a state of complete surrender and trust and knowing, faith, trust, knowing. Every part, every cell of your body has to believe that you are safe, you are protected. And that's the fundamentals of let's look at the male and female aspects of us. So under the laws of nature, the male is here to be the provider, to be the protector, to be the leader. The female is here to be the creator. Let's say, for example, the male brings, the male brings the house, but it's the female creates the home. The male brings in the monies to buy the food, but the female creates the meal. You know what I mean? It's the two together coming together to be complementary to each other. It's the two parts of the jigsaw locking back into each other, the lock and the key, to be able to create something so beautiful together. Independently, they can't do that. They don't create that sacred harmony, that symphony of light together. The two coming together create so much more than those two individuals separately. So we've really got to, you've got to just completely surrender and trust. And, with the light coming in for Easter this weekend, it's, I'm actually spending this weekend. I'm going to be in Glastonbury down in St. Mary's Church for 3 days, just channeling the huge light that's going to be coming in there. It is the heart chakra of the planet. And I just know there's going to be some really strong, beautiful, powerful energies coming in this Easter. And I would just say to people, just go out and stand in the sun and feel a light. And also in the nighttime, go out and feel the starlight and the moon, because the sun is the masculine energy, the moon is the feminine energy. So we have to get that balance. And that's why the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, was bringing the balance of both. The spring equinox is bringing the perfect balance of day and night, the masculine, the feminine. So we've been offered a huge opportunity right at this moment in time to balance the masculine and feminine within our own selves and back into humanity.
One thing I wanted to kind of go back. You mentioned about the masculine and being the provider.
Mhm.
There's a lot of folks who are struggling right now with providing. Right, the job market, is pretty tough. There's a lot of folks that may be, in a relationship, and maybe the masculine dimension of it is not delivering the provisions that they're used to. Like, what would you say in those situations to people who are having trouble because they don't have the job, they're not able to provide the
Well, I think
masculine
this is,
aspect for their feminine partner?
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we've got to be realistic and look at this. This is a secret union of a partnership together. There are going to be seasons in your relationship when you're going to have to swap roles, because if you've got the masculine and feminine within you, there's going to be parts of you that sometimes me as the feminine, I have to be the provider. Other times I have to drop into being mum, into being that much more feminine aspect of me. But there's certain stages of my life I've had to stand up to be more the provider. But that's a partnership that you have together. Obviously it's a lot more challenging if you have young children, you've got a big mortgage to pay, and you've got the responsibility of earning on just the meal, the mum's at home. But I mean, both playing very, very important pivotal roles within the family unit. But at a different stage of your life, if that changes and it still works, but you're still in partnership with each other. You're still supporting each other. So there should be no guilt or shame on that level. That's when you've got that balance and harmony between each other, that there should be no judgment. If you are both, this is where communication is so important, that you both communicate how you are feeling. I guess a lot of times the male will feel demasculated if he doesn't have his corporate wage or salary coming in on a monthly basis, and his wife, for example, is providing the bread and butter on the table for that window of time. But it's just an understanding is that we all have the masculine and feminine aspects of us within, and during let's say the journey of our soul, if we're in secret union with a partner, a husband, wife, or a partner in this lifetime, there are going to be times where both of us will step up at a different capacity. And that is where you just show each other that you're actually there for each other. Your relationship is not just one dimensional. You're allowed to give each other that seesaw effect, that balancing effect, that you're allowed to explore, let's say, another creative aspect of yourself to see, is there more to me than just what I've lived for the past X, Y, and Z number of years? And then that other aspect, of the female or whatever, is allowed to experience another aspect of herself. But I would say the most important thing is communication, to understand what roles you're both playing at that moment in time, and the necessity to know that it's an evolution. All relationships within your own self is an evolution, but also relationships within a marriage. A marriage is an evolution and a journey. Before you have children, when you have children, when they've left the nest, and then after it. I mean, it's so many different stages of an evolution. I think one of the definite woundings that did come in when we were doing the feminine wounding was, I think, the exasperation of a huge requirement being put on their shoulders to be everything, to be having young kids. So having babies at home, having to leave them in daycare, having the responsibility to go out to a corporate job, taking them from daycare, then having to do everything at home as well as a corporate job, as well. It's just complete overwhelm at that stage of a relationship. And I mean, I know, that is a massive amount of overwhelm, and that will take people nearly to the edge. But this is one thing, is that stay-at-home mom in today's society has been degraded, like as a level of you're lazy, you're not providing, you're a lesser than within the relationship. My goodness, the job of managing the house and managing children is you're a project manager of lots of different projects. But relationships evolve, marriages evolve, and there has to be that, seesaw effect, that, we allow each other to step up at different levels and take on those different roles, as long as both are comfortable, I would say, doing that. But I think the key would be communication. You're both working together as a team together for the greater good of the family unit. So if one partner isn't in a high earning job, well, the other, it's about that communication to say, I need your support at the minute. I'm going through this stage of my soul's evolvement, and I'm trying as best as I can to move up, but you need that support. And if you don't feel you have that support, that's where you'll flounder perhaps. So instead of moving yourself up, you will actually end up on a treadmill of going round in a circle of floundering, rather than allowing yourself to be the highest version of you in a new role within that relationship. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I think it's a very timely topic for a lot of people, that I see this happening quite a bit in our society today. And, again, I try not to watch the news, but,
Yeah.
there is a lot of unrest, let's just say, with regards to how people are progressing in their careers, or have concerns about AI taking jobs away, and all kinds of different things that are happening now that make it more challenging for many people. I want to go back a little bit. Just I'm intrigued by something you said early on in our conversation, about the fall of the goddess in the Atlantean times.
Mm.
What can you share with us more about that, and what specifically happened, and why? Why did we move into this masculine dominated era?
Well, we had been in a very much a matriarchal controlled society then. So it was basically a decision was made by a group of highly evolved souls called the Intergalactic Council of Light for humanity. You've got to understand, the let's say the dynasty of Atlantis, the times of Atlantis. Atlantis rose and fell 6 times. It was an experiment to see. I mean, humanity came here to experience the full spectrum of emotions. So it was really, how far can humanity fall from God? And how are we going to make our way back to God? So Atlantis rose and fell 6 times. And that happened over a long period of time. We're talking about like 240,000 years. And the great Diana Cooper talks a lot more about this in her books. But it was basically a time of, let's say, the golden era Atlantis, which is something which we're looking to reenact in the very near future. Is that so what happened in the fall of Atlantean temples? Unfortunately, the females stepped back and down, allowing the male to take that very much leadership road in society. But what that actually created was a competitive environment between females. So the females, there was competition to see who could partner with the powerful men in order to survive. It was basically, everything went into survival mode then. So the females all of a sudden became competition to each other. And even today's society, I mean, we see this all over the place.
Very much.
And the men have actually, masculine energy has used that to their advantage, is that if the females are pitting against each other. And the thing is, and I say to a lot of, female clients, if we don't honor and respect each other as females, how on earth can we expect men in male bodysuits to respect us if we don't even respect each other, because we need to set the example. Whereas if we're trampling all over each other to get, to the top, that just shows somebody who's completely separated from their God self, completely in service to self mode. And that's what we're not here to be. I mean, the golden age of Atlanta, the blueprint for that is now available to humanity. And that was a fifth dimensional society living on a three-dimensional planet. Earth was three-dimensional at that time. But this planet is moving to a fifth dimensional frequency, and there's aspects of it are already ascended. So we're being offered now a new golden era of a fifth dimensional humanity, fifth dimensional society living on a fifth dimensional planet. That has never happened before. So that's why we're getting so much support from Spirit to go, please, humanity, choose the path of the light. Really, really, because Earth is ascending. So we want as many humans to ascend with this planet, because those that are choosing not to ascend, Jesus said to me, they are merely infants in spirit. Those that are not choosing the light. And he said, many I've called all my flock home, and many are choosing not to see and not to hear, because they're merely infants. They just, they're going to need to come back for a number of other incarnations to learn and evolve and grow and clear more karma before they're able to. But at this moment in time, it's still up for grabs. Every single soul on this planet is being offered the opportunity to choose the light and be part of this new golden era. And actually, this is happening so much quicker than we know it. 2032 is going to be the end of the law of karma. The law of karma is actually the law of love. So this universe loves us so much that it's allowing us opportunity again and again and again to come back again and again and again to learn the same old lessons until we actually get the wisdom of the lesson, the test that we were meant to learn. And then we're able to, I've done it, and lift ourselves up to the next level and able to. So we are going to step off the karmatic wheel. That is those that are choosing it. But you have to do the work. So the choice at the minute is very, very simple. Do you choose love or do you choose fear? Do you choose to step into your heart, or do you choose to live completely in your head, which will tell you a whole lot of fear stories, a whole lot of lie, and you will end up connecting into everything that's in the wider media, the greater illusion outside of you, and you will live as part of that illusion. And if you want that to be your universe, your world, your day-to-day modus operandi, that is exactly what it's going to be. However, you can create your own golden universe within your own vessel, within your own family, within your own household, within the greater world around you, just knowing the old is falling away. And it's going to look destructive out there. It's going to look messy out there, but we got to let it go. Because if we don't let the old systems that we know are not serving us anymore fall down, fall away, we're not going to give space for the new in our lives to come in. And there's so many incredible technologies and inventions that are already here. But because there's so much other noise in the media, they haven't been given the space, the time to go, people to realize there's all this other amazing stuff out there just waiting for us. So it's for people not to be fearful. You've got to let go of the old. You've got to release the old. It's like Jesus has said so many times to me, take off the old bodysuit, lay it on the altar of your soul. I take soul through this in my chromatic clearings, but you can do it yourself. Go into a church, sit in front of a candle, sit out in nature at a tree, take off the old bodysuit, say, I surrender. You take it off you and allow yourself to be new, to be rebirthed. And Jesus always says, I have a new set of garments for you. You just need to put them on. Anything that you think is unforgivable is forgivable. Jesus has said, lay everything at my feet and I will forgive. You just need to be willing to surrender. It is that thing that we've talked about before, Ashley, is about allowing yourself to forgive yourself in order to surrender and feel that you're worthy of that forgiveness. So the simplicity, let's make it very simple then. So the simplicity of the world at the minute is, do I choose love? Do I choose fear? Okay. Do I choose service to self? Do I choose service to all? Okay. So am I making choices for the greater good of my partner, for my family, for my community? Or am I going to go, how is all of this working out for me? You know? So that, just to say, the channelings I've got from Spirit is very much, if you're in the service to all, if you're heart-centered, you are going to be supported, because the old vibrations of service to self, of fear, are not going to be supported anymore. So if you are dropping into your heart in a state of complete surrender, just give it all up. You've got to give it all up. And actually, my first interview with you, I had to told my story. I had to come in intense pain and suffering on my knees to surrender. But when I did, I was gifted heaven on earth, complete bliss. So a lot of us, it can take so much of us to actually surrender, because we fight our own light within. And the light is the divine masculine and feminine that's in our hearts. It's our true self. They're best friends, our male and female inside us, just waiting for us to, welcome them back in and acknowledge them and go, that is the male and female aspect of me in there. And I'm not ugly. I'm not fearful. I'm not unworthy. I'm not a sinner. I'm not, there's all these ugly words that we can paint upon ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not providing for my family. I'm not a great provider. I mean, whatever is going on in your life, it's just, you've got to step back from what's immediately in your arena. This is only a very small window in our soul's evolution. We've been here thousands of times. This is our master life. We're beginning an opportunity right now to ascend, to become an ascended master like Jesus Christ when we leave and go to the other side. I mean, that is a big prize. That's the gift of this life. All you need to do is choose love, to step into your heart and have faith, belief, and just that knowing within that everything is going to work out. And people may say, well, that's blind faith. But to me, there is only one type of faith. You either have faith or you don't. It's either you have that knowing inside or you don't. And I know that is hard for people.
No, I think it is very difficult for people. But I think it's surrendering and having faith. I mean, those are, it has to be the way. It just feels right when you say that. But how do you reconcile that and with, and maybe this is a good place to kind of give some last thoughts as we wrap our discussion too. But, the old saying that God helps those who help themselves, right? How do you reconcile the surrender and have faith with that?
Okay, so Jesus said this to me several times as well, even recently. It is like, he has told me, help those who are willing to help themselves. You've got to be willing to be open to something better. If you want to sit in a state of misery, pain, and suffering, you're going to sit there until you figure out this is not the only option for you. There is several other options for you. You're going to sit there until you realize.
So surrendering and having faith is helping yourself.
Yes. When you surrender and have faith, you realize you have a choice in the outcome. Last weekend, I did the Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine workshop, The Secret Union with Jesus and Mary Magdalene. As an extra gift at the end of that workshop, Jesus brought us into the scene of the Last Supper. And it was so powerful. So the whole group, we were brought before Jesus into the scene of the Last Supper. And he blessed He washed everyone of the group. He washed our feet and he gave us all a gift. And he said, you are both servant and master. So you are a servant of God, but you're master of your destiny. You're master of your world. And that is the clinching deal for people to understand. You can relinquish responsibility for everything in your life to everything else around you. But the reality is you have a choice. You have control of what's around you. And at this moment in time, some people may say, do you know what? I don't have a job that pays me a corporate salary. But what else can I do in my day-to-day activities to make good, to make something, to even walk out a smile, meeting people, having a conversation with people? You can change somebody's life by just smiling at them walking down the street, by having a conversation, giving people time. That's one thing a lot of us, when we walk out, people don't give you the time of day these days. They're in such a rush. Just having somebody that gives you time and has a conversation with you. There's so many other ways other than working in a corporate job and bringing in a monthly or a weekly salary that you can make a difference to this world. Yes, it's nice to have that security, but really, that security, any soul on this planet in a corporate job working for big companies, that's security. That can be taken away tomorrow like that. So who really is secure in any of those jobs? The security and safety is within. It has to be within your own heart and your own faith and trust that everything you need every day will come for you and will be provided for you. But also there is ask and you shall receive. You need to ask Spirit for help, because this is another thing I come across with clients. I say, have you asked for assistance with this from Spirit? Well, no. Well, you do need to ask, because we have so much spiritual helpers around us, but there's this, law of free will. They cannot intervene on our own behalves unless we place the request to Spirit. Then all of a sudden they'll rally the troops around us. And this works like magic. Every time I ask for help, it comes in. Sometimes not the way that I think I want it to come in, but it always works out. So we've got to be open to the possibilities and potentialities of miracles in our life every day. So it's stepping outside the human, being a square peg that has to fit into a square hole, all the time, and everything has to be a certain way. Why? Why does it have to be a certain way? Because when we do that, we limit our human experience. We've got to be open to something more. And I would say to people as well, one of your biggest balancers and healers at the minute is get out in nature. Get out in nature, get into the quiet. This world is too noisy. Humans are very noisy. And it's very hard to feel peace if there's a lot of noise around you. Whereas if you can go somewhere where it's peaceful, and even if that is putting on a set of headphones and listening to the sound of waterfalls and birds singing, at least it's bringing you into a state, it's bringing you into your inner world, rather than you being completely hooked and tentacled into an outside chaotic world. You do not want to be connected into that chaotic world. You want to be in your own sacred sanctuary. And when you need to go out and interact with that world around us, you will touch in when you need to, communicate with people you need to, but you decide how much any of that impacts here and here. It's your choice. Mary Magdalene said that to me at the beginning of this year. You have a responsibility, Siobhan. You can say no to any energy that's around you, irrespective of how much light or how much shadow it is. You have a choice whether you accept it or not. So the light codes that's coming in at the minute, you have a choice whether you want to accept the light and allow yourself to be lifted up in the light, or whether you want to accept the fear and shadow that's around you and allow that to bring you down and into a state of depression and heaviness. It is a choice. And that is not me being flippant, because I know it does take people, it's being brave to go, there is a choice here. And any moment you feel in a state of panic, breathe, step out in the garden and just go, right, what choices do I have here? Because people believe sometimes they don't have a choice, but there's always a choice.
That's wonderful, Siobhan. I think that might be a great spot to wrap. Are you, is there any last words you'd like to share with our audience? I really appreciate everything you've shared so far.
I'll share. What I wanted, the biggest thing I wanted for people to take away as well is, please let there be no blame for either the male or female in society as to what is going on the planet. We've all been in those male and female bodysuits. All are responsible equally. We're all equal. And that was another thing Jesus said at the weekend. We are all one. We are all completely equal. There is no hierarchy, he said, in spirit, and it's very much about, we as male and female, we have to work together. We are not here as competition to each other. We're here as complementary aspects of spirit, both within ourselves. But if you can do the healing work within your own self, it is going to change everything in your outside world, because you are going to be in a state of sacred union within your own self. The world around you is going to reflect that state of harmony and union and peace within. So it's just letting people know, everything you see outside of you is an illusion. The realness is in here. It is inside you. So you have the power to create peace or pain inside you. And it is the choice. And every day you need to make that choice. Be conscious of what choices you're making. And a lot of times during the day, we are going to catch ourselves out going into that state of fear or pain, but you don't judge it. You go, I'm going to pull that back in. I'm going to rein it back in. And it is like a muscle. You're going to have to exercise it until you get to a stage you're able to go to the gym, you do your reps or everything, and it's like clockwork. You just do it. You're like a machine. So it does take practice and it does take work. Nobody said the ascension process was going to be easy. But the biggest thing, Ashley, this is a very short window of time. And we've got to, this is the most challenging times. The word spirit have used is, they say, at this most sacred hour upon the earth. Humanity are making decisions now that is affecting their entire soul journey of lifetimes, thousands of lifetimes. So this is the life. Please choose love rather than fear. And it is a choice, and I mean, that's why the program I put together, it is just allowing you in the privacy of your own home to go inside and do the work, to go inside and explore. It's going on that journey of explore and excite, because a lot of people are also scared to go inside and look within. I mean, why would you be scared of the little you inside, a little Christ child and a little innocent inner child? They need your attention. They need your nurturing, because some part of them along the way weren't parented the way they wanted to be parented. So you become your new parents. You become that sacred divine mother and father to the children within you. And that's how you become one again and whole again. And then the world outside will reflect that. That's the power you have. That is the power you have.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Siobhan.
Okay.
It's always great to talk to you. If you want to hang on just a second, I'd love to speak with you a couple more minutes after we wrap. But thank you so much for joining the show. It's always great to see you. And thank you for all the good work that you're doing and for helping people. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
Today's show is brought to you by Morrison Alley. Morrison Alley focuses on leadership and team development through experiential learning. Experiential learning is proven to be a much better way for people to learn. People have enhanced communication and trust. They have better engagement in their job and satisfaction with their job. They make faster decisions as a team. It really improves communication and morale, and ultimately just leads to superior learning outcomes. So it's really focused around igniting the potential of your leaders, helping them overcome challenges and drive lasting team change. MorrisonAlley.com is where you should check this out. We also provide marketing and strategy work for businesses to help grow implement new technologies such as AI to help streamline the business and improve efficiencies. Check it out, morrisonalley.com.
Thanks for listening to Ashley on Nothing But the Truth for a Better You and Me.